Now in this lecture we will discuss about the Hall effect. This Hall effect is very important phenomena in semiconductor physics because it has three important applications. That is, this Hall effect is used to calculate the concentration of charge carriers in a given semiconductor, whether it is a p-type or n-type semiconductor. We can calculate the number of charge carriers, that is number of electrons or holes. Also, this Hall effect is important in a sense that it is used to identify the unknown semiconductor which is given to you, and if you have been asked to identify whether it is a n-type or p-type semiconductor, then by determining the Hall coefficient and knowing the sign of that Hall coefficient, we can identify whether it is a p-type or n-type semiconductor. Also, this Hall effect can be used to calculate the mobility of charge carriers, that is either mobility of electrons or mobility of holes. And therefore this Hall effect or Hall phenomena is very important in semiconductor physics. This effect was observed by a scientist whose name was W.H. Hall. Now let us discuss what is this Hall effect or Hall phenomena. So let us consider a specimen of a semiconductor. Now for instance, assume that this is a n-type semiconductor which has majority charge carriers as electrons. So in this rectangular specimen of the semiconductor, maybe of n-type, it may be a n-type semiconductor. So along the three directions, that is x, y and z, let us say that this is the direction of current, that is along the positive x direction. So if the direction of current is along positive x direction, so the direction of electrons will be along the negative x direction. It means that electrons are moving in the direction of negative x axis. So this will be the direction of electrons. The electrons will be moving in the direction of negative x axis, because we always show the direction of conventional current I in the direction of which is opposite to the flow of electrons. So here, since current I is flowing along positive x direction, means electrons are moving in the negative x direction. Now if a magnetic field is applied along the direction of z axis, that is in a direction which is perpendicular to the motion of these electrons, then a magnetic force will act on the motion of these electrons, and that magnetic force is given by Fb is equal to E into B into V. So it is basically E into B cross V. So here it will be E into BV, where V is the drift velocity acquired by the electron, B is the magnetic field which is applied along the direction of z axis, and E is the charge of electron. Then due to this magnetic force which is given by the Fleming's left hand rule, so if you apply this Fleming left hand rule, that is if you stretch the three fingers of your left hand, and if the middle finger represents the direction of electric current along the x direction, then the forefinger will represent the direction of magnetic field which is perpendicular to the direction of current, and the thumb will represent the direction of force, which is the magnetic force acting on the motion of these electrons. So if you do this, then you will observe that the force which is acting on the electrons will be in the downward direction. So as the magnetic force acts on the electrons in the downward direction, so electrons will start accumulating on the lower surface of the specimen. So as the electron starts accumulating on the lower surface of the specimen, there will be the deficiency of electrons on the upper surface. So lower surface of the specimen become more and more negative, while the upper surface of the specimen become more and more positive. And hence the potential difference or voltage is developed between the upper surface and the lower surface of the specimen, and that voltage is known as the Hall voltage. So here the voltage is developed between the upper surface and lower surface of the specimen, which is known as the Hall voltage. Now if I say that the dimension of the specimen along the direction of y-axis So this is the dimension of the specimen along the direction of y-axis, and let us say that it is represented by a small y. Then then the electric field which exists between the upper surface and lower surface of the specimen, that electric field will be equal to EH, and it is equal to VH upon Y, where VH is the voltage and Y is the dimension of the specimen along Y direction, and this field is known as the Hall field. Now here you will see that this Hall voltage or Hall field is produced in a direction of y-axis. It means that it is produced in a direction which is perpendicular to the direction of current, as well as it is produced in a direction which is perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. So this Hall voltage or Hall field is produced in a direction which is perpendicular to the direction of current as well as magnetic field, and this phenomena or this effect is known as the Hall effect. Now once this Hall field is generated between the upper surface and lower surface of the specimen, then electron being a negatively charged particle, if upper surface becomes more and more positive due to this Hall field EH, then this Hall field EH, it will exert an electric force of the amount which is E into EH, and the direction of this electric force will be in the upward direction. So the direction of this electric force will act on the electron in the upward direction, while the direction of force due to the magnetic field will act on the electron in the downward direction. Now if the strength of the two forces are exactly equal, that is if Fb, that is force due to magnetic field, is exactly equal to the force due to electric field, then the net force acting on the motion of electrons will be 0, and when the net force acting on the electrons is 0, then the electrons will move in an undeviated path in straight line, and the current which flows through the semiconductor under this condition is known as the steady current. So a steady current I will flow in the circuit steady current I will flow in the circuit when the magnitude of these two forces are exactly equal. So if the magnitude of these two forces are equal, then writing this E into EH is equal to E into BV. So we can cancel out this E charge from both sides, and writing this equation in terms of V, where V is the drift velocity, it is equal to EH upon B. So here this V is known as the drift velocity. Then according to the free electron theory, we know that this steady current I, it can be written as I is equal to N into E into V into A, where you know the usual terms, that is N is the electron density, that is the number of electrons crossing this cross-sectional area. Now here if Y is the dimension of specimen along y-axis, small y is the dimension of specimen along the direction of y-axis, and small z is the dimension of specimen along the direction of z-axis, then y into z will be the cross-sectional area. So this cross-sectional area A is equal to y into z. And this N is the number of electrons which are crossing this cross-sectional area A. E is charge of the electron, V is the drift velocity acquired by the electron, and A is the area of cross-section. Now let us substitute here the value of V, where V is the drift velocity, and therefore we can write for here as I is equal to N into E into V, where V is EH upon B into A. Now you know that the current density is defined as J, which is current per unit area. So I can write down this expression in terms of current density as J is equal to current per unit area. So this current per unit area will be that is current density, which is equal to N into E into EH upon B. So if I write this equation, we get the equation in terms of current density J as J is equal to J is equal to N into E into EH upon B. So J is equal to E into B. J is equal to N into E into EH upon B. So now we can write down this equation in terms of EH. So this EH will be equal to J into B upon NE. Now here we define the Hall coefficient as RH, where this Hall coefficient RH will be equal to 1 upon NE is defined as Hall coefficient. It is defined as the Hall coefficient. So we can write for EH now, that is Hall field, as EH is equal to RH into JB. Or if we write this equation in terms of RH, that is Hall coefficient RH, then this Hall coefficient RH is equal to EH upon JB. So this EH is the Hall field. EH is the Hall field, and we know that this Hall field EH is equal to VH upon Y, where VH is the Hall voltage and Y, small y, is the dimension of specimen along the direction of y-axis, and JB, so J is current density, which is current per unit area, so it is current per unit cross sectional area, so cross sectional area will be equal to Y into Z into B, so that this Y and this Y will cancel off, and rearranging the terms, here we can write for Hall coefficient RH is equal to VHZ upon IB. Hall coefficient RH is equal to VHZ upon IB. This equation is important because we can determine the Hall coefficient RH by making use of these factors, that is VHZ and IB. Further, this equation is important where this RH is equal to 1 upon NE. So if we know the Hall coefficient RH, then it has three applications. So applications of Hall coefficient, Hall effect. Now the first application is, it is used to calculate the concentration of charge carriers. So here, since this Hall coefficient RH is equal to 1 upon N into E, so if you know the Hall coefficient RH and knowing the charge of electron E, what you can calculate is N. So you can calculate the value of N, where this N is the electron density for N-type semiconductor. So if you have given the N-type semiconductor, then you can calculate the total number of electrons, that is the concentration of electrons present in the N-type semiconductor. Or this Hall coefficient RH can also be written as RH is equal to 1 upon P into E, where this P is the hole density and E is charge of the hole for P-type semiconductor. So knowing the charge of hole and Hall coefficient RH, we can calculate the hole density, that is P. So the first application of this Hall coefficient is, it is used to calculate the concentration of charge carriers. Then the second application is, the second application of Hall effect is, it is used to identify the type of semiconductor. So whether it is a N-type semiconductor or whether it is a P-type semiconductor, how to identify which type of semiconductor is given to you, that you can do by determining the sign of Hall coefficient. So if the Hall coefficient RH, if it comes out as negative, if the sign of Hall coefficient, so if the sign of Hall coefficient is negative, then we can say that it is a n-type semiconductor, because you know that the majority charge carriers for n-type semiconductor, majority charge carriers are electrons, and electrons possess a negative charge. So if the sign of Hall coefficient is negative, then we can say that the type of semiconductor is a n-type semiconductor, while if the sign of Hall coefficient RH is positive, so if the sign of Hall coefficient RH, is positive, then we can say that it is a p-type semiconductor, because majority charge carriers for p-type semiconductor are holes. So this is another application for Hall effect. And the third application is, it is used to find out the mobility of charge carriers. So you know that the expression for conductivity of n-type semiconductor, it is sigma n is equal to n into E into mu E. Similarly, for p-type semiconductor, you know the conductivity for p-type semiconductor as sigma p is equal to p into E into mu h. So if I write this equation in terms of mu E, that is mobility of electrons, then it will be sigma n upon Ne, sigma n upon Ne, but 1 upon Ne is Hall coefficient, which is RH. So this will be RH into sigma n. Similarly, if I write this equation in terms of mu h, then this mu h will be equal to sigma p upon p into E. So 1 upon Pe is Hall coefficient RH, so it will be RH into sigma p. So if you know the Hall coefficient RH and the conductivity, then you can calculate the mobility of charge carriers. And therefore, since these are the three important applications of Hall effect, and hence this is very important phenomena in semiconductor physics. Now how to find the Hall coefficient RH experimentally? So in practice, what we do is there is a 4-probe method for finding the Hall coefficient RH. So in a semiconductor chip, so to a semiconductor chip, whether it is a n-type or p-type semiconductor, there are 4 probes which are attached to the specimen of n-type or p-type semiconductor, and we know the formula for Hall coefficient RH as RH is equal to VH into Z upon IB. So here this Z is the dimension of the specimen along the direction of Z axis. So the direction along which we are going to apply the magnetic field, that is along the direction of Z axis. Here current will flow along the direction of X axis. Magnetic field is applied along the direction of Z axis. So this is the direction of magnetic field, and the thickness of this specimen along the direction of Z axis is given to you. It is provided by the manufacturer. So Z is provided by the manufacturer. Now what we do is here Z is constant and we keep the magnetic field constant initially. So this magnetic field B is kept constant. So Z and B is constant. What we do is we vary the current I along the direction of X axis, and whatever the voltage is developed, that is Hall voltage is developed along the direction of Y axis, we measure that Hall voltage. So basically we take the measurements of I versus V that is I versus VH. So we keep on increasing the current, and then for these values of current we are going to plot the values of voltage, that is the Hall voltage. Then if the nature of graph, we plot the graph between current and the Hall voltage VH, and if the nature of graph, it is basically a straight line, and if this is the nature, if we find out the slope of this graph, then the slope will be equal to delta V H by delta I. Now if the slope of this graph is like, if it is positive, if the nature of graph is like this, then the slope of the graph will be positive, and if the slope of graph is positive, then it means that Hall voltage RH, Hall coefficient RH will be positive, and if Hall coefficient RH is positive, it means that it is a p-type semiconductor. While if we plot the graph between I versus V, if we plot the graph between I versus VH, and if the nature of graph is like this, then in that case the slope of the graph will be negative. So if I find the slope, and then if this slope is negative, then the Hall coefficient RH will be negative, and if the Hall coefficient RH is negative, then we can identify that it is a n-type semiconductor. So in this way we can calculate this Hall coefficient